The man who built the AI that beat the best Go player on earth just quietly left Google DeepMind, started a brand new company with zero products, and somehow convinced investors to hand him $1 billion. We are talking about David Silver, the researcher behind AlphaGo, AlphaZero, and MuZero, three systems that completely changed what people thought AI could do. And the wild part is that his new company, Ineffable Intelligence, is not building another chatbot. It is not trying to make a better version of ChatGPT. It is going in a completely different direction. Silver says LLMs, the type of AI covering basically everything you use right now, will never reach true super intelligence. And he is betting $1 billion that he is right. So let's talk about it. Alright, let's start with who David Silver actually is. Because this is important for understanding why the entire AI world stopped what it was doing when this news dropped. Silver joined DeepMind in 2010, right when the company was just getting started. He was one of the first people through the door. Over the next 15 years, he helped lead the team that built AlphaGo, which beat world champion Lee Sedol at the board game Go in 2016. That was a huge moment. Go has more possible positions than there are atoms in the universe. So people always said computers would never master it. But Alpha did. Then came AlphaZero, which learned chess, Go, and a Japanese board game called Shogi all by itself in just a few hours with no human examples. Then MuZero, which could play games without even being told the rules. Then AlphaStar, which beat top players at the video game StarCraft. Silver also helped build Google's Gemini language models before he quietly went on leave and never came back. Now, he is 49 years old, a professor at University College London, and the CEO of a company most people had never heard of 2 weeks ago. Here is the thing. The funding numbers here are not just big, they're history. Sequoia Capital is leading the round, and according to reports from the Financial Times, the deal values Ineffable Intelligence at $4 billion before a single dollar of new money comes in. The round itself is $1 billion. And for context, when Arthur Mens left DeepMind and started Mistral AI in France back in 2023, that was considered a massive European startup success. Mistral raised 105 million euros in its seed round. Ineffable Intelligence would raise almost 10 times that amount. PitchBook confirmed this would be the largest seed round ever closed by an European startup, not just in AI, but across every single industry. Nvidia, Google, and Microsoft are also reportedly in talks to invest on top of Sequoia's lead. The fact that Google, which still employs hundreds of people at DeepMind, is considering putting money into a company started by someone who just left DeepMind tells you everything about how seriously people are taking this. And honestly, the way investors chased Silver the moment he left is almost funny. When word got out that he was departing DeepMind, Sequoia's managing partner, Alfred Lin, and partner Sonia Fuan literally flew from San Francisco to London just to meet with him. That is how badly top investors wanted him. You don't book transatlantic flights for someone unless you think they might be building the next major wave of AI. Now here is where it gets interesting. Because the actual idea behind Ineffable Intelligence is the controversial part. Silver's core argument is that large language models, the kind of AI running GPT, Claude, Gemini, basically every product you are using right now, are hitting a wall. And the reason they will hit that wall is not a technical problem that more compute or more data can fix this. The reason is more basic than that. LLMs are trained on human knowledge. They read everything humans have ever written, and they learn to predict what a human would say next. Silver's argument is that if you train on human knowledge, you can only ever get as smart as humans. You can compress it, organize it, speed it up, but you cannot go beyond it. Because if a human has never figured something out, it is not in the training data, and that means the model will never figure it out either. He published a paper on this called Era of Experience, together with computer scientist Richard Sutton. In that paper, they argued that the next generation of AI will not learn from reading text at all. Instead, it will learn from experience the same way a child or an animal does. You try something, you see what happens, you adjust, you try again. That process, which is called reinforcement learning, is what Silver spent his entire career working on. AlphaGo did not read books about Go strategy. It played millions of games against itself, figured out patterns nobody had ever seen, and invented moves that top human players initially thought were mistakes but turned out to be brilliant. Silver wants to apply that same idea to everything, not just board games. The real breakthrough he is chasing is what researchers called world models. This is the core technical idea behind Ineffable Intelligence. A world model is basically an internal simulator inside the AI's brain. Instead of just generating text one word at a time, the agent builds a mental picture of how the world works, predicts what will happen if it takes a certain action, and uses that prediction to plan. Imagine you want to teach a robot to cook. An LLM approach would feed it millions of cooking recipes and hope it learns something useful. A world model approach would let the robot try cooking, burn things, drop things, adjust, try again, and over time build a deep internal understanding of heat, texture, timing, and ingredients that no recipe book could ever fully capture. The agent is not just reading about the world, it is living in it and updating its understanding every single time it does something new. And the crazy part is, this is not a forever away future plan. Ineffable Intelligence was incorporated in November 2025. Silver was formally named director in January 2026. The company is already recruiting researchers right now, pulling from DeepMind and other top labs. Silver himself said he wants to get back to the awe and wonder of solving the hardest problems in AI, which is a pretty direct signal that he felt like the LLM race had become more of an engineering and scaling competition than a genuine science problem. In fairness, there are real risks here that you should understand. The company has no product, zero. It is not even close to shipping anything. The $1 billion valuation is based entirely on Silver's track record and his research thesis. This is not unusual for the current AI moment, but it is still out saying clearly. Thinking Machines Lab, which was started by former OpenAI CTO Mira Moratti, raised $2 billion in a seed round led by Andreessen Horowitz. Though by January 2026, it had already lost multiple co-founders, including its CTO, with key researchers streaming back to OpenAI, which is a reminder of just how fragile these credibility-driven bets can be. Safe Superintelligence, started by Ilya Sutskever after he left OpenAI, raised $3 billion at a $32 billion valuation with no product at all. So the pattern here is that elite researchers with strong credibility are raising huge amounts of money purely on the strength of their ideas. Whether those ideas will actually work is still the open question. There is also a real technical challenge with the reinforcement learning approach. The reason LLMs took over the AI world so fast is that training on text is incredibly scalable. You can always find more text. You can always add more compute and make the model bigger. Reinforcement learning is much harder to scale because the agent needs a good environment to learn it. If the environment is too simple, the agent learns useless tricks. If it's too hard, the agent gets stuck and learns nothing. Building environments that are rich enough and hard enough to actually push AI towards superhuman ability is a genuinely unsolved problem. That is part of what Ineffable Intelligence will need to figure out from scratch. The competitive picture around this is worth thinking about too. Ilya Sutskever, who left OpenAI as chief scientist in 2024, launched Safe Intelligence with a similar thesis that the current path is not enough. Jerry Torek, who built OpenAI's reasoning models, also just left to start core automation with the same focus on continuous learning. Even Lee Kan, who spent over a decade at Meta founding and leading their AI research lab fair, is now reportedly raising around 500 million euros for a new startup called Advanced Machine Intelligence Labs also focused on world models. And DeepMind's own CEO, Denis Hassabis, has publicly said world models could produce a ChatGPT moment for AI, though he also said the cost and technical challenges are still very real. Hassabis even publicly supported Silver's move, posting that he wished his long-time Cambridge colleague all the best with this exciting news. When the CEO of the company, someone just left publicly cheers them in, the departure was friendly and the respect runs deep. What makes Ineffable Intelligence different from the others is the specific combination Silver brings. He is not a language model person who decided to pivot. He has been a reinforcement learning researcher his entire career. AlphaGo, AlphaZero, MuZero, all of those were built on the exact approach he is now trying to apply at a much larger scale. And the fact that Sequoia flew to London to close this deal rather than waiting for silver to come to them tells you the investors see something real here. The bigger signal from all of this is that the elite of the AI research world is quietly starting to bet against the current direction. You have Satskever leaving OpenAI, you have Torik leaving OpenAI, you have Likam leaving Meta, you have Silver leaving DeepMind. These are not people who burned out or got frustrated. These are people at the absolute top of the field who looked at where the LLM path was heading and decided the more interesting problem was somewhere else. That is not a small thing. When the smartest people in a race start running in a different direction, it is worth paying attention to where they are going. That is where we will wrap it up. The real question I keep coming back to is whether world models and reinforcement learning can actually deliver on the promise of endless self learning, or whether this ends up being another wave of hype that runs into the same walls researchers have been hitting for decades. Drop your thoughts below. Make sure you are subscribed, hit the like button, and I will see you in the next one.